It is the third pillar of Islam. We know that Islam was built on 5 pillars, and no house will stay intact, will be safe if the pillars are not there. I mean, every house will be destroyed, will collapse if the pillars are not there. So the first thing is we need to know that it is a major pillar of Islam. It is the third pillar of Islam after Shahadatain, and the second pillar, which is a salat, the daily obligation that we are supposed to offer every day. And also we need to know that those who deny the obligation of zakat are not Muslims, because uh, knowing this, knowing that zakat is the third pillar of Islam, is a basic knowledge, is a basic tenet of faith. And anyone who denies or rejects a basic tenet of faith, يسمى باللغة العربية, it is called المعلوم من الدين بالضرورة. Anyone who denies or rejects something that is a basic tenet of faith cannot be a Muslim unless he is a new Muslim and he doesn't know about it, and he was not able to meet any scholar or any Muslim who explained these pillars or these basic tenets of faith to him. That's a different story. Someone who was a new Muslim and he didn't know about the details of Islam, or he didn't know about the different pillars of Islam, that's a different story. Now, we need to know that in the Quran, we find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent a serious warning to those who do not pay zakat. And the same warning is found in the Sunnah of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So in Surah At-Tawbah, we found his saying, subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَالَّذِينَ يَكْنِزُونَ الذَّهَبَ وَالْفِضَّةَ وَلَا يُنْفِقُونَها فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ فَبَشِّرْهُمْ بِعَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ. And those who accumulate, those who collect gold and silver, and do not spend them in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then give them tidings of a painful torment. Give them tidings of a painful punishment. So, and this ayah is found in Surah At-Tawbah, and of course there are some other ayats which confirm the same meaning. In the Sunnah, we found in Sahih Muslim, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Actually, this hadith is an explanation, is an interpretation of the ayah that I just mentioned. I just recited from Surah At-Tawbah, that those who do not pay the zakat, they are owners of gold and silver, but they do not pay the zakat. So plates of fire will be made for them on the day of judgment, and they will be heated in the fire of hell, and their backs and their foreheads and their sides will be burned with these plates of fire in a day, the length of which will be 50,000 years. Of course, I mean, it's very difficult for us to understand these numbers because it's a different, we're talking about al-akhirah, it's a different realm, it's a different world, it's a different life. So maybe 50,000 years is not similar to our calculation, our own timing. Allah Ta'ala A'lam is something that belongs to ilm al-ghayb. It is part of the unseen, and it is very difficult to come up with a conclusion about it, but we need to know here, the shahid here, the dalil here, the proof that some people will be punished on the day of judgment for not, and they are Muslims, for not fulfilling the duty of paying the zakat. And at the end of the hadith, this hadith is found, as I said, in Sahih Muslim. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, at the end, he will find out if he will be from the people of Jannah or people of hellfire. So he will go to hellfire or go to Jannah. Now we're talking about Jannah, and this is a proof that the one who is Muslim and believes in the obligation of zakat, he believes that zakat is mandatory, but he doesn't give it out of selfishness or greed, then he's still Muslim. He's different than the one who rejects the obligation of zakat. The one who denies the obligation of zakat, we said he's not Muslim. But the one who approves and believes in the obligation of zakat, he believes that zakat is an obligation. Zakat is the third pillar of Islam, but he doesn't want to pay it because he feels that he doesn't have to pay zakat, or it's not something important, is not an important tenet of faith, or so for whatever reason. And this person, he's still Muslim, but that would be his fate on the day of judgment. He might go to Jannah because of some other good deeds. Allahu alam, everyone is different. Everyone, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take care of the accounting, the hisab of every person, every individual. Our job in this life is to teach and explain, but what will happen to people on the day of judgment is not our business. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take people to account. No, we need to know that most of the time zakat is combined with salat in the Quran. وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ. Establish the prayer and give the zakat. And this is a sign of its importance because salat is the most important pillar of faith after shahadatain. The moment you make shahada and you become Muslim, the first obligation would be to offer the 5 daily prayers. So we know the importance of salat, and zakat is always combined with it in the Quran. Most of the time, whenever zakat is mentioned, it is mentioned with salat, which means that these two pillars, we have the other pillars, siyam and hajj, right? But zakat is always mentioned with the salat, which is a sign, which is a proof of its importance, or extreme, I would say extreme importance. We need to know that not paying the zakat is a major sin, min al-kaba'ir, because we know that in Islam we have kaba'ir and sagha'ir. So kaba'ir, these are major sins, and sagha'ir are minor sins. So not paying the zakat or ignoring the payment of zakat for whatever reason is a major sin, kabiratun min al-kaba'ir. Now, if we talk about the wisdom of giving zakat, the wisdom of paying zakat, we would say that both individuals and communities will benefit from the fulfillment of this duty. What will happen to the rich when they fulfill this duty? They will be basically fulfilling one of the main duties of Islam, one of the main duties of their faith, which is something beautiful, because you want to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a good shape. And the first thing that you need to, as a Muslim, to take care of is your aqidah, tawheed, declaration of faith, your belief, your maintaining your belief in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you make sure that you're not involved in any type of shirk. This is number one. You need to make sure that you are offering your daily prayers and your Jum'ah prayer and your Eid prayer. So you're taking care of your prayers. And then the third pillar of Islam, you need to make sure that you are paying your zakat if it is an obligation upon you. And of course, you need to make sure that you are fasting the month of Ramadan. These are 4 pillars of Islam. Hajj depends on your financial and physical ability. If you are financially and physically able, then it is an obligation once in your life. So the rich will be fulfilling one of the main duties of faith, number 1. Number 2, their wealth will be purified. Their wealth will be blessed. Number 3, their hearts will be purified from greed, from selfishness, from stinginess. You don't control money doesn't control you anymore. You are in charge of your money. You control your money. You can get rid of it anytime. You can reach your pocket and pay and fulfill your duty as Muslim and give to those who are in need. So you are not emotionally attached to your wealth. You believe that wealth is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He can take it back at any time. And you as a Muslim, you need to obey your Lord, obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and fulfill your duty. The wealth will grow, inshallah, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. As I said, it will be purified, it will multiply. We got the famous hadith. The famous hadith, it is a Qudsi hadith that was collected by Imam Bukhari and Muslim. The hadith of Abi Huraira, in which Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, quoting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we say Qudsi hadith, the message came from Allah, directly from Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying in this hadith, أنفق يا ابن آدم أنفق عليك. O son of Adam, spend and I will spend on you. Spend and I will spend on you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is promising those who spend their wealth in His way for His sake, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will give him. He will spend on them, and He will bless their wealth and expand their rizq. And we got this meaning also from the linguistic meanings of the word zakat. The word zakat has three meanings in the Arabic language: al-tahara, al-nama, al-baraka. Al-tahara means purification, al-nama means growth, and al-baraka means a blessing. And we got this meaning also from the ayah, the famous ayah in Surah At-Tawbah, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, خُذْ مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ صَدَقَةً تُطَهِّرُهُمْ وَتُزَكِّيهِمْ بِهَا وَصَلِّ عَلَيْهِمْ إِنَّ صَلَاتَكَ سَكَنٌ لَهُمْ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded His Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam to take from their wealth. Who are they? The Muslims. So He commanded His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam to take from the wealth of the Muslims charity by which He will purify them and sanctify them, right? And invoke Allah's blessings upon them. So this is the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to His messenger. But we shouldn't understand from this ayah that the messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was supposed to take this money and put it in his pocket or spend it on his family. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in this ayah, khudh, it is an order, it is a command to His messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, take from their wealth a charity. But it doesn't mean that he was supposed to take it and put it in his pocket. As I said, it was haram for him, haram for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam to benefit from zakat money. And it was haram for his family, for his immediate family and all his relatives, Banu Hashim. It was haram for them to benefit from zakat money. And until now, there are from people who have their family status, which is verified that they belong to Banu Hashim, they belong to the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Until now, many of them try their best to stay away from zakat money. They don't benefit, even if they are fuqara. They try to fulfill their needs from different ways. Of course, when there is no government to take care of them, they are allowed. Like our days, there is no specific government. In the most of the countries, Muslim countries, we don't have a government which is taking care of the needs of the family of the Prophet or helping them. So then, if they are in need, they are very poor, they are allowed to benefit from zakat. But I'm talking about the basic ruling that it was haram for him alayhi salatu wasalam and for his family to benefit from zakat money. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it, or him alayhi salatu wasalam, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, made it very clear in the famous hadith of Mu'adh ibn Jabal when he sent him to Yemen. He said, أعلمهم أن الله سبحانه وتعالى قد فرض عليهم صدقة تؤخذ من أغنيائهم. الله سبحانه وتعالى قد فرض عليهم في أموالهم صدقة تؤخذ من أغنيائهم وترد على فقرائهم. It is to be taken from their rich. It is to be taken from the wealthy and distributed among the poor, given to the poor of the community. So Rasulullah ﷺ did not benefit from zakat money. And by the way, this is I personally believe that this is one of the proofs, a proof among the proofs of his prophethood, that he was a true messenger of God, that he was a true messenger of Allah. Because if he was a fabricator, if he was a liar, if he wrote the book, if he did not receive a message from Allah and it was all fake, he would try his best to take advantage from the community, the wealth of the community. Why not? He made up a story that he was a prophet and he was a messenger, and now everyone believes him, and he has a community supporting him, and they're willing to give zakat, and they're willing to pay their money to pay zakat, and he's the leader, he's the head of the state. Now, why not taking advantage of these resources that are available in the community and telling them that God has allowed me to benefit from your zakat, and take 10% or 20% from your zakat? He did not do it because he was a true messenger of God, alayhi salatu wassalam. Another wisdom behind the prescription of this zakat is that this zakat will strengthen the social fabric. It will empower the Islamic brotherhood. The poor will feel good when they see that the rich and the wealthy are fulfilling their duties and they are giving them zakat. Their hearts will be, the hearts, I'm talking about the hearts of the poor now, will be purified from destructive jealousy, al-hasad. They're happy with contributions of their wealthy brothers. So the Islamic Brotherhood will be empowered, and the needs of those who are in need, the needs of the poor and the needy will be fulfilled in the community bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Now, how do we manage? How do we manage the payment of our zakat? Here we need to pay attention. Before I talk about the management of our zakat, I would like to mention about few things. The requirements. What are the requirements which make zakat an obligation upon any one of us? Number one, before a requirement, before we look at the wealth, I would like to mention something very quickly before we're talking about the other requirements, which is nisab and al-hawl. I would like to talk about the niyyah. I would like to start with the niyyah because this is very important. Because there are people who make mistakes when it comes to the niyyah of paying the zakat, the intention of paying the zakat. The niyyah, or the intention of paying the zakat, or having a specific intention to pay zakat, it is a requirement, and it is extremely important to have this intention when paying the zakat, when making the payment, that you are paying the mandatory zakat. You're not giving a regular sadaqah. Why? Because zakat is a ibadah, is a major act. Zakat is a major act of ibadah. It is a main duty. And with every ibadah, we need its specific niyyah, intention. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Deeds, or the rewards of deeds, depends upon the intentions. Or our deeds are judged by intentions. So every deed, everything we do, it is judged in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala based on our intention. Now here, there are people who make some mistakes. I know some people, I met these people and they told me about their practice. Some of them, especially owner of businesses, he would say that I've been paying sadaqah for the whole year. Sadaqah for the whole year. So at the end of the year, I don't need to calculate my wealth and the value of my goods that are for sale, or how much I have for cash. I don't have to, because I've been paying sadaqah for the whole year. Now, paying for the whole year in advance is not a problem. The problem is if he was giving this charity as a regular charity, or paying it without any specific niyyah, without any specific intention, then this sadaqah will be accepted as a regular sadaqah, but it will not be accepted as zakat, because when he was paying this money, he did not have the intention of paying the zakat. Another scenario, for example, there are people who give a loan to some other people. They give them a loan, right? And it's, alhamdulillah, it is an act of ibadah. It is something beautiful. You do it. It's highly appreciated in Islam that you give a loan to someone else, helping your brothers and sisters in the community. But when the other person who borrowed, the borrower, is facing some difficulty and is not able to pay the loan back to its rightful owner, then the owner might say, don't worry about it, I will just include it in my zakat. And this is not permissible. Because when he gave him the loan on the first day, he did not give him that money with the intention of zakat. He was not paying his zakat. He was just giving a loan. Now, because his brother or his sister is not able to pay him back, now he decided to included this loan in zakat. This is not permissible. There are people also who attend some fundraising dinners and then they pay some sadaqah without having any specific intention. let's say $500, $1,000, $2,000, without having a specific intention of paying the zakat, just donation, a donation to Islamic Relief or ICNA Relief or any other organization, right? But at the time of calculating zakat, he will change his mind. Is he allowed? He's not allowed to change his mind. You say, okay, I gave 2,000 to Islamic Relief 2 months or 3 months ago in a fundraising dinner. Now you are not allowed to turn it into a zakat. But if you had the intention of zakat 2 months ago, which means paying zakat in advance, then this is permissible, and you'll be able to count it, to include it in your zakat payment. Inshallah, if you calculate your zakat and you have to pay, like, let's say 4,000, you already paid 2,000 2 months ago, so you don't have to pay 4,000 now. Which in Ramadan you pay only 2,000, you don't pay 4,000, because you already paid 2,000, and that's good because you had the intention of paying zakat at that time when you made that donation. Though this is something very important. The nisab, the second requirement, is a nisab. What is a nisab? Is the minimum amount that makes a person the minimum amount which makes you under the obligation of paying the zakat. So before your savings reach that amount, that threshold, you are not under the obligation of paying the zakat. And there are two famous standards of calculating this nisab. We have the gold standard and we have the silver standard. At the time of Rasulullah, their currency was made of two things: golden dinars or dirhams made of silver. And the nisab was 20 dinars of gold, or 200 dirhams. Now the value in grams, the amount in grams, is 85 grams of pure gold. 85 grams of pure gold. And the value in silver is 595 grams of pure silver. Now, nowadays, at that time it was easy. 200 dinars was equivalent to 200 dirhams. And it was easy for them. People had the choice to pay their zakat, or choose the gold standard, or to choose the silver standard, because they were the same. 200 dirhams were equal to 20 dinars. Now is different. 85 grams, the value of 85 grams of gold is not the same like the value of 595 grams of silver. There is a huge difference between them. Nowadays, the value of 85 grams of gold is around 6,000 Canadian dollars. 6,000, and that's the nisab. So which means before having, if you have 4,000, you don't have to worry about zakat. If you have 3,000 in your account and that's your only wealth, you don't have another property, you don't have a business, you don't have stocks in the stock market, then you don't have to worry about it. If you're limited, your wealth is limited, you have only 3,000. But the nisab these days, as I said, is around, as of today, I looked at the prices today, the price of gold today, it was around 70.20, 70 Canadian dollars multiplied by 85, and the result is 5,967 Canadian dollars, which is around 6,000. Because I looked at the prices for the whole year, from March 2020 till March 2021, for the last year, and the prices went up and down. But the average price within the last 12 months was 6,500. 6,500. So it is safe to say that 6,000 is the nisab these days, is the nisab. The nisab on silver, I calculated, the nisab of silver, it's around 660. That's a huge difference. That's a huge difference. The reason we are using the gold nisab, there are many reasons. But one of them is that Allah, Al-Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam said in the famous hadith, تؤخذ من أغنيائهم وترد على فقرائهم. It is to be taken from the wealthy, the rich, and be distributed among the poor. Now, if someone has 700, we said the nisab of silver is 660. If he has $700 Canadian dollars, he's not rich. He's not wealthy based on our customs and our urf and our culture here in Canada. $700 in the account as a saving. Maybe he might need, actually, he might, if he has a family, he might need help. He might receive zakat from other people. He's eligible to receive zakat because with 700, what is he going to do? So, but if someone has 6,000, 7,000 in his savings as a saving, then this should be a good amount of money, and he's supposed to pay zakat. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. So we go with a gold standard. We don't pay attention to silver standard. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. And this is the fatwa of many scholars, the fatwa of the Council of Islamic Research affiliated with Al-Azhar University, and it is the fatwa of many, as I said, contemporary scholars. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. And if you want to know about the daily amount of nisab, you can check some of the Islamic websites nowadays are giving the daily rate of nisab. Like مثلا the National Zakat Foundation. National Zakat is a National Zakat Foundation organization here in Canada. And on their website, they will give you the daily rate of nisab. If you want to check it, they give you both gold nisab and the silver nisab. But as I said, my advice is to follow the gold nisab. It's more stable. Wallahu ta'ala alam, and it makes sense. If someone has, as I said, $600 or $700 in his account, you cannot call him a rich person. He's not wealthy. He needs help. But someone who has 6,000, 7,000, then this is a good amount of money. Wallahu ta'ala. The other requirement is the passing of one Islamic year. So when your savings reach this level, 6,000, 7,000, now you have the nisab, you don't have the obligation to pay zakat right away. You don't pay it right away. You wait for 1 year. And after 1 year, if you have the same amount of money or it increased, your money has increased, your wealth has increased, now you have 10,000, 15,000, then you pay zakat on the whole amount. You don't exclude the nisab. There are some Muslims who believe, these are some of the common mistakes, who believe that we don't have to pay zakat on the nisab itself, which is 6,000. I only pay zakat on what is above the nisab. Let's say now I have 10,000 after the passing of 1 year in the Islamic calendar. Instead of 6,000, I have 10,000. Last year I have 6,000. So how much is the growth in my savings? 4,000. So they believe that they only pay zakat on 4,000. They don't pay zakat on the other 6,000. No, you pay zakat on the whole amount, which is 10,000. Everything that you have, including the nisab. You do not exclude the nisab. And my advice is to follow the Islamic calendar. Do not follow the solar or the Gregorian calendar. But if you insist for whatever reason, of following the Gregorian calendar, then the rate is not 2.5%. It has to be increased to 2.577. You make it easy, you want to make it easy for yourself, 2.6. If you are following the Gregorian or the solar calendar. But if you make it easy, you want to make it easy for yourself, follow the Islamic calendar, and the rate is always 2.5. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Now, how do we calculate our zakat? Let's go to the calculation, which is the most important thing. Now, before I talk about the calculation of zakat, we need to know some terms. We need to be familiar with some terminology here. I'll be talking about loans and debts because they should be included in our calculation. Loans and debts. And for the sake of clarification, I would use the term loan for anything, any money that you advance to someone else. You are the lender. When I use the term loan, you are the lender. When I use the term debt, you are the borrower. And loans are divided in two types, good loans and bad loans. And the debts are divided into two types: short-term debts and long-term debts. Now, the good loans, any money that was given to someone and he's doing well, he's not denying the loan. He's just telling you, give me some extra time, another 6 months, another 2 months. I'll pay you at the end of the year. And you are confident he's a brother, your brother from the same family. He's your father, he's your cousin, he's your close friend. You're confident that he will give you the money. He's not denying it. And you know that he's doing well. He got a job and he's doing well. And inshallah, he will be able to pay the money on time. This is a good loan. So you include it in your calculation. We'll come to that. We'll come to the formula. But I need to explain this terminology before we move forward, before we start talking about the formula. So this is a good loan. A bad loan would be a money that was given to someone. He's not able to pay it back. He said, I don't have a job, I don't have money, I have debts, and I don't think I'll be able to pay your loan. I'm sorry. Or he tells you, I didn't take anything from you. He's denying the loan. He's denying the fact that he took some money from you. He doesn't remember, or he wants to deny it on purpose. Now, there is nothing written between you and him or her. There is no document. And this is, it's better to, when you give a loan to someone, you write a document. You write something, you sign it, he signs it. And you give him a copy, keep a copy with you. It's better. It's better for the sake of, it is safer. It is safer for the sake also safe of making things easy. I mean, you have a proof. If you're denying the loan, you have proof. This is your signature and this is the date. And if you have witnesses, that better, mashallah. If you have witnesses who would witness, especially if it is a big amount of money, maybe you need to include some witnesses, and that would be better for the benefit of everyone, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. But let's say you have nothing. You have no paper, no document, and he's denying, or he's not able to pay. This is a bad loan. We'll talk about it, inshallah. I'll tell you about the ruling. Basically, the ruling of a bad loan, you don't have to pay zakat on it. You don't include it. It is not included in the formula. The moment you reach this conclusion, maybe you gave them this money to this brother or sister 5 years ago. And during the first year, you were fine, you were happy, believing that the man will pay you your money back. But after the passing of 2 years, you reach a conclusion that your money is gone. Maybe you will not be able to get your money back. So the moment you reach this conclusion, your loan is classified a bad loan. You stop paying zakat on it. You don't pay zakat on it. Until, let's say, after 5 years or 10 years, the person is doing well, or he made tawbah and he felt bad about it, decided to give you your money back. Now you don't have to pay this zakat of the last 10 years in which you didn't pay zakat for this amount of money. You didn't pay zakat for it. So you don't worry about the last 10 years. You have two choices. Either you add it to your savings and you pay zakat on it with the rest of your money on your zakat anniversary, or the deadline of your zakat payment, let's say in Ramadan. Many people choose Ramadan. It's not a requirement. By the way, before I move forward, it is not a requirement to pay zakat in Ramadan, but many people like to do it in Ramadan. It's their choice, but it is haram for them. Let's say the real deadline is 2 months or 3 months before Ramadan, right? So they reach the nisab, let's say their savings reach the nisab in the month of Rajab, 2 months before Ramadan, right? Rajab is the 7th month in the Islamic calendar. So 2 months before Ramadan, and the person will say, no, I'm not going to pay zakat now in Rajab. I will wait till Ramadan because it's beautiful to pay it in Ramadan. It's more virtuous to pay it in Ramadan. The hasanat, or the deeds, the rewards will be multiplied in Ramadan. You're not allowed to do that because it is an obligation upon you to pay zakat in the month of Rajab. That is your deadline. You're not allowed to wait till Ramadan. But if it is 1 week before Ramadan and you waited till Ramadan, that could be fine. 1 week, 2 weeks maximum, but not 1 month, 2 months. No, this is not an option. Delaying the payment of zakat without a valid reason is not permissible in Islam. Delaying the payment of zakat without a valid reason for a long period of time, as I said, for 1 week or 2 weeks, trying to find out who is deserving of your zakat. Do you send it back home? You give it to a National Zakat Foundation, give it to ISC, give it to MCC, give it to another organization. Then you are thinking, you're trying to make a decision within this 1 week or two. That should be fine, but not more than that. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. So now we talked about good loans. We talk about bad loans. I said bad loans, don't worry about them. You don't have to pay. When you receive the money, if you receive the money after 10 years, 15 years, you don't worry about 10 years or 15 years. You just pay, add it to your savings. This is one option. The other option, you pay zakat on it for 1 year only. This is the Maliki madhab. And it is mentioned, it is adopted by some contemporary scholars, 1 year, and that's it, to be in the safe side. And then you add the rest to your savings. When it comes to debts. Now, debt, as I said, when we talk about a debt, you are the borrower. You are not the lender. So you took money from someone, and someone owes you money. Now, so what will happen at the time of calculation? We have short-term debts and long-term debts. A short-term debt is any debt that is due within 1 year, within the next 12 months. Let's say you have to pay this money after 3 months after Ramadan, 3 months after Ramadan. Then this short term, you are allowed actually to exclude, to deduct the value of all short term debts. You exclude them from the total amount of your properties, of your wealth. So let's say you calculated your wealth and you find yourself that you are the owner of 100,000, mashallah, 100,000, right? Including everything. And then you found out that you have the obligation to pay a debt within 2 months or 3 months, and the value of this debt is 10,000. So you don't have to pay zakat on 100,000. You deduct this 10,000 because it is a short-term debt, and you pay zakat only on 90,000. But if it is a long-term debt, you bought something with a credit sale on installments, and you are allowed to pay these installments within the period of 10 years. 10 years. Then you don't exclude the value of this debt. Anything above 1 year is a long term. Anything above 1 year is a long-term debt, and you are not allowed to exclude it from the payment of zakat of that specific year. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Now let's talk about the formula. The formula here, if let's say you are an employee, the first case, you are an employee, you receive a salary, you are not an owner of a business, you are not self-employed. So you need to calculate, what do you include in your calculation? Number one, cash. The amount of cash that you have in your account. And of course, I'm talking about your account. If you are a husband, talking about your money, your account, your wealth. You don't have to pay zakat of your wife. Your wife has to calculate her zakat. Unless you want to volunteer after she calculated her zakat, you want to volunteer and pay zakat on her behalf, that's a different story. But she is responsible. Islamically, she is responsible for her zakat, and you are responsible for your zakat, and your children, who could be minors, they are responsible for their zakat if they are wealthy. But who pays it on their behalf is the guardian. You as a father or a mother or the guardian will pay it on their behalf. So it is an obligation upon their wealth. Yes, they are not mukallafin. Let's say that a child who is 6, 7 years old, his father passed away, and his father was extremely wealthy. He left for him in the bank account, $10 million. So Islam says, yes, there is a zakat obligation on this $10 million, even though the owner of this money is a minor who is 6 or 7 years old. He's not mukallaf, but the zakat is an obligation upon his wealth, is the haqq, is the haqq, or the right of the fuqara on the wealth of the wealthy, right? And these wealthy people, as I said, they could be adults, but they could be children too. So anyway, I'm saying here everyone is responsible for his zakat. Of course, if you are a guardian or a father, you're going to calculate the zakat of your children, or or her wife. Your wife is supposed to calculate her own zakat. As I said, you are allowed to pay zakat on her behalf, but you are not Islamically responsible for this payment. Now, you are calculating your zakat, you start with cash. So include money, cash money that you have, number one. Number two, the value of gold and silver, if they are used as a store of wealth. There are people who own gold and silver, and they use them as a store of wealth. They are not jewelry. They are not a personal. They are not for personal use. Jewelry, I'll talk about the jewelry at the end. There are a different, some disagreement, scholarly disagreement about jewelry. But here I'm talking about something well established. You have gold and silver, and it's not jewelry. They are meant to as a store of wealth. Then you include their value in your zakat. The value of your stocks, let's say you have shares in the stock market, and you are a speculator, you include their value. If you are an investor, like you are keeping the shares for long-term investments, I'll talk about it at the end. But now let's say you are a speculator, someone who is an active trader. You are an active trader. You are doing, you're doing day trading, or involved in on a weekly basis. You are, buying and selling shares in the stock market on a monthly basis. Within a year, within the period of a year, you are an active trader. Then you are a speculator, and your shares are urud al-tijara, and you are supposed to include their value, the market value. You look at the market value on the day of calculating. Let's say tomorrow Sha'ban, 15th of Sha'ban is your zakat anniversary. Then you look at the value of your shares, the market value of your shares on that day, tomorrow, and then you include this value. Because you are an active trader or you are a speculator, you add this amount to your total value. Then you add good loans. And you remember I talked about give a loan to someone, and you expect to receive your money. You are confident that you're going to receive your money back. Then here, this is a good loan. Let's say it is 10,000, 20,000. You add it to the formula, and then you subtract, you minus the short term, minus any short term debt. You exclude it from the calculation, and then you receive the total. If you are following the Islamic calendar, you pay only 2.5% from the total of your properties and wealth. If you are following a solar calendar, then you pay 2.577. You want to make it easy, 2.6 for yourself. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Now here, let's talk about someone who is self-employed. Someone who is the owner of a business. Again, the formula is that he has to include his cash, his personal cash, in his personal account and his business account if he is the sole owner of this business. If it is a partnership, that's a different story. Everyone has to calculate his own share. That's a different story. But let's say you are the owner of business. You calculate how much cash you have. You calculate the value of gold and silver that is used, that is meant as a store of wealth, a store of value, not as a jewelry, not for personal use. As I said, I'll explain it later on. The value of your stocks, if you are an active trader or a speculator. The value of the inventory, the value of your goods, the goods that you have for sale. Even if you have raw material is not for sale, but it is meant to, it will be used to make some goods. It will be used to make some products. Then you include it in the calculation. You don't include the value of your machines. Even if you have some expensive machines in your shop, in your factory, you have some expensive machines, but they're not meant for sale. These machines are used in your business. You have 10 vans, and these vans are used for delivery. They're not for sale. You're not selling these vans. So the value of these 10 vans, you don't include them. They are fixed assets. These fixed assets, don't include them in your calculation. You include only liquid assets, cash or gold and silver or stocks, as I said, and the value of the goods that are for sale or any raw material that is used to make any product. You include it because it will actually be part, this raw material, the value of this, the cost of this raw material will be part of the cost of the product. And you'll be selling these products at the end, right? So you include the value. Even bags, if you are using bags, giving your customer bags, and you are charging them 5 cents or 10 cents for these bags, you include the value of these bags in your calculation because you are charging your customers the cost of these bags, right? And then you add to that good loans or accounts receivable, any receivables, you include them in your calculation, and you deduct any short-term debt. Any short-term debt should be deducted. Then you get the total of your wealth or your properties, and you either pay 2.5% following the Islamic calendar or 2.577 if you are following the solar calendar or the Gregorian calendar. Now, these are the formulas for business people, for individuals, and for business people. Now, how about if you have a pension? Let's say it is an RSP or any type of pension. There are different. We don't talk about public pensions that we call the security, programs made by the government, like CPP and related programs, old age security, and all the other programs that are government made by the government. Yes, even though they are taking a deduction from your check, but you have no access to this wealth. You have no access to this program. So we don't talk about these kind of programs, CPP, Canada Pension Plan. You pay zakat on it when you receive it, when you reach the age of 65 or 71, and you start receiving these benefits, then you add them to your savings. If they are above the nisab, you pay zakat on them. But now we don't talk about them. We talk about the other private plans, private pension plans, especially plans that are made by companies, offered by your companies, or any personal plan. You decided to go to the bank and purchase an RSP or open a pension plan for yourself and for your wife. Now, I want you to pay attention to this issue here because it's tricky and many people are confused about it. Any unlocked account, if the account is unlocked, you are allowed to withdraw money from it anytime, even if they charge you taxes or penalties, but you have no restriction. There is no restriction on it. You can withdraw money from it anytime without any application. You don't have to prove to them that you have a financial hardship. Then zakat is due on the total amount of this money that is found in this account, because there are no restrictions on this account. The only problem is if you withdraw the whole amount, the government will charge you some taxes. Let's say 30%. If it is a big amount, it is 30%. So you pay zakat on 70% of your money in this specific account that is unlocked. There are no restrictions on this account. You have the freedom to withdraw money from it anytime. So what do? If there are some taxes, you exclude the value of taxes. You don't pay zakat for it. Let's say you have 100,000. If you withdraw this money, the government will take 30,000. Okay, you don't pay zakat on 30,000. Pay zakat on 70,000. Include it add it to the formula that we were talking about. We're talking about cash, gold and silver, stocks or shares in the stock market, value of the inventory or goods for sale, the value of any good loan or account or receivables in general, and you deduct, as I said, short-term debts. Now, if you have money in a pension plan and it is a private pension plan or a personal, or a spousal or whatever, then you need to calculate this money. You only exclude, as I said, the taxes that will be charged if you withdraw this money. I'm talking here about an account that is unlocked, an account without any restrictions. Now, if the account is locked for good, there are in some provinces where if you leave the company, you have only two options or three options. And one of them could be transferring your money from that employer sponsored plan to another plan, another account. But the second account is locked in account, is a locked in account, is a locked in, for example, RRSP, and you are not allowed to touch the money until you reach the age of 65 or 60 or 71. It depends. Everyone is different, right? If this is the case, then you don't have to pay zakat. Why? Because one of the requirements for zakat to be an obligation is full and complete ownership. And complete ownership means that you have the freedom to deal with your money, to use it in your business, to buy with it anything, to give it as a gift or a loan, to dispose of it in any way or shape. This is full ownership. Here, your money is saved in this account, but it is locked in. You're not allowed to touch it unless you reach the age of 65, as I said. Here, you don't have to pay zakat on it. You pay zakat after you start receiving or you are allowed to withdraw your money, cash out your money. Then at that time, you start paying zakat on it. If you have the obligation to pay zakat, it depends on your situation at that time when you reach the age of 65 or 70. Now, there is another issue. If it is partially locked, what does it mean, partially locked? It means that the account is locked, is a locked-in pension plan. But if you are facing a financial hardship, they allow you, for example, and here you have to look, you talk to the finance department in your company. You talk to whomever is the administrator of your pension plan. You talk to the administrator. If you prove to them that you are facing a financial hardship, they will allow you to withdraw 50%. 50%. Let's say 50% of your, this is an example. It is an example, one of the examples that is found, that is related. There are different scenarios, as I said. These scenarios could be different from one province to another province. There are some federal laws regarding this kind of plans that are common between all Canadians, but there are some laws and regulations that are specific to a specific province. So here, if the administrator will tell you, if you are facing a financial hardship, you are allowed to withdraw 50% of your money from that specific account, then you are supposed to pay zakat on this, the value of 50% of your account. And of course, if they charge you some taxes, you are allowed to exclude the value of these taxes or any penalties. Exclude the value of taxes or penalties. Don't pay zakat on them. Pay zakat on the rest. Add it to the formula, and then you will be able, inshallah, to come up with a total. Now it's 4 o'clock. I'll mention a few things before I'll, inshallah, give you time. We said we're going to finish this program at 4:30. So I'll mention a few things, and then we go from there, inshallah. We'll give you chance to ask your questions. I know many people are confused about land and properties and apartments. I bought an apartment back home. I bought a piece of land, and I'm not sure about my intention, and so on and so forth. There are many issues that are related to this ibadah zakat, but inshallah, when we find out and learn about this ibadah and we do it properly, we are worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're fulfilling our duty. It is a main duty, and nothing is lost with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything will go to your account, and you'll be happy with it on the Day of Judgment. When it comes to jewelry, the fatwa and the opinion that I follow, if a woman has jewelry, and she's using this jewelry through during the year. During the year, she's using it. She doesn't have to use her jewelry on a daily basis. But whenever she's invited to a wedding or a aqiqah party or a social gathering, then she would wear some of her jewelry and she to go after before going to this party, right? So here she's using the jewelry. It's an item for personal use. She doesn't have to pay zakat for this jewelry that is meant for personal use. But if she's keeping a good amount of jewelry as a store of value, as a store of wealth, and her intention is she's planning to buy a house with it in the future, or expand the business, help her husband to expand his business, or establish a business in the future, then she needs to pay zakat on the value of her jewelry. So it depends on the intention. If it is a big amount, for example, and it is not used, just kept there as a store of value, then she needs to pay zakat on it. Wallahu ta'ala alam. In the Hanafi madhab, they say she has to pay zakat regardless of her intention. Any woman who has more than 85 grams of pure gold, even if she has less, but she has some cash. She has, let's say she has 70 grams of gold. So 70 is less than 85 grams. But she has some cash, 2,000 Canadian dollars in her account as a saving. So if she adds her cash to the value of her gold, it will be the value of 85 grams of gold or more than that. Then based on the Hanafi madhab, she's supposed to pay zakat on it. But I told you about the fatwa that I follow, which is a fatwa of many Muslim scholars. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam, with all due respect to all madhahib and to all ulama. We love our ulama and we respect them and we appreciate their efforts and we appreciate their fatwas. But when it comes to making decisions, sometimes we're comparing between two different opinions, three different opinions. Sometimes we don't have a choice and we have to choose one opinion. Otherwise, people will be confused. People in modern times will be confused. They tell you, okay, tell me which opinion I should follow. So, as I said, this is the fatwa of many scholars. If they are for personal use, there is no zakat on them. If they are meant for as a store of value or a store of wealth, then the person has to pay zakat on them. How about long-term investment? This is kind of tricky. It's a little bit complicated. And I'll give some information for those who know how to do it. For those who bought shares in a company, but they are not active traders, their intention is to leave the shares for 10 years, 15 years. But they are receiving dividends. They are long-term investors, and they are receiving dividends. Then they need to pay, of course, zakat on dividends. They need to add these dividends, the value of these dividends, to their savings and pay zakat on them. How about the shares, the value of shares themselves? The value, since they are not active traders, they are not speculators, then there is a formula here. They said the ulama, most of the ulama nowadays are following this opinion. They said if you are able to look at the financial statements of the company, you look at the zakatable assets, or the ratio of the zakatable assets. What are the zakatable assets? For example, liquid assets, receivables, inventory, any goods for sale, products for sale. And you exclude from that the value of fixed assets, or the value of short-term loans, the value of any interest income. If you are able to do that, then that's good. If you are able to you look at the financial statement for your company that you are investing your shares in, you bought shares from this company, you look at their financial statement and you try to calculate the value or the ratio of the zakatable assets. Let's say the ratio of the zakatable assets is 60% per share. So you don't pay zakat on the value of your shares. You pay only zakat on the value of 60% of your shares. If you are a long-term investor, if you are not an active trader, if you are not a speculator, you're not a tajir here, you're just putting your shares, you bought these shares, and you're investing your money in this company. You are a long-term investors. You're just collecting dividends. So this is how you do it. If you are not able to do that, there is another option that you look at the total value of your shares using the book value per share. The book value per share ratio. It's different than the book value is different than the market value of the shares. So you look at the book value per share and you calculate the amount of your the value of your wealth in this company by multiplying the value, the book share, the book value per share by the number of your shares. And this is the amount that you need to include in the formula and pay zakat on it. Wallahu ta'ala alam. If you are not able to go with the first option, if you are not able to do that by yourself, you might consult مثلا this main zakat organization. One of them is Zakat, National Zakat Foundation. They have consultants. You can call them and you can tell them that I need some help with the calculation of my zakat, or you contact some imams who are familiar with this terminology, with these methods, and then you try to, inshallah, to do your calculation or do your math. But this is only if you bought shares in a company and you are a long-term investors. If you have mutual funds, you are like an active trader. The same ruling, or a speculator. You calculate the value of your units in the mutual fund, and then you include it you add it to the formula. You add the value to the total value of your zakatable assets, and you pay zakat on the total, the last, the total, the general total. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Now I would like to okay, what is left with us is the recipients of zakat. Do you want me to talk about the recipients of zakat, or we open the floor now, give chance to people to ask their questions, and then if there is a questions about recipients, the poor and the needy, and the other people, then we talk about them. Do you want to do that, or you want me to go through the recipients of zakat?
I think we have to go with some questions and then we can go for recipient after that.
Okay, go ahead.
Sheikh, can you look on the question which the people is typing on the conversation or no? Or I can go
No,
ahead.
I'm not able to see anything.
Okay, I am going to tell you about that. So first question is from one guy says, can you give zakat to someone who needs money but owns a land overseas but currently has no access to it and cannot sell it?
Could you say the question again, please?
Can anyone can give zakat to someone
Okay,
who needs money
okay,
but owns a land
okay,
overseas but
okay.
currently has no access to it and cannot sell it?
Yeah, you can give him zakat.
Okay.
Yeah,
Second
if
question
he
is,
doesn't have access to his wealth, you can give him zakat. And also, if he has a land, he has access to it, but he's using it for agriculture, for example. Back home, there are many people, many of our people in India and Pakistan and different countries, they have land and they are using it for agriculture. They are using it, right? And they are able to collect some fruits and vegetables from it, right? But they don't have enough to spend on their family for the whole year. This income is not enough. So they have a land, but it's not enough for them. So you don't ask them to pay to buy to sell their land instead of asking for zakat. No, they are allowed to keep their land and ask for zakat, because the income from this land is not enough to cover the expenses for the whole year.
okay. Second question is, what if husband and wife have a joint bank account in agreement, manage their expenses, savings, and charity from that? Is this permissible?
It's permissible to have joint account, but joint account, we have to look at it. Yeah, there are two scenarios. The first scenario, both of them are working. Both of them are working and putting their checks there in the joint account. So let's say he's putting every month 3,000, and every month she is depositing 2,000 from her salary in the joint account. The total of monthly deposits is 5,000. So his wealth from that joint account will be 60%, her wealth, her property, or her nasib, her share will be 40% if they want to calculate zakat. But if he's the only one working, but still he has a joint account with his wife, she has a debit card because he's allowing his wife to use to withdraw money from that account, and it is a joint account for the sake of spending on the family, then it is his money. It is the money of the husband, and he's the one who is responsible for the zakat, for paying the zakat from this account.
Okay. Next question from Junaid Mahun. He thankful to you first, and he asking that the RESP education account for kids is also locked till it matures.
That's right.
How,
That's right.
how will we deal with zakat on
Yeah,
this?
yeah. When it comes to RESP, I'm sorry I forgot to talk about it. RESP is locked. Is locked, yes, and which means that the kids or you as a father, you are not allowed to withdraw the money. If you withdraw the money before your child reaches the age of 18, then the government will take back their contributions. Which means that the ownership of your child over the money coming from the government is not well established. It will be his real ownership when he reaches the age of 18. Now, you want to calculate zakat on behalf of your child when you need to look at his money, his wealth, or how much he owns in this account. You only take into consideration your contribution as a father. Or if you are putting child benefit in that account, that's his money, child benefit, or money coming from a gift from his uncle, from his grandfather, money coming as a gift from his mother, that's his money. You calculate this money. So you exclude the money that came from the government, you don't pay zakat for it. But this, if his account or his savings reach the amount of 6,000 these days, if they are less, let's say he has only 4,000 these days, then there is no zakat to be paid. Ignore it until his savings from your money, your contributions, or the contributions from his family reach the amount of 6,000 based on our calculation today of the nisab. Then you are supposed to pay zakat on his behalf, and you can pay it on his behalf. You don't have to withdraw money. You can't withdraw money from this account. As a father, you pay it from his behalf. 6,000 would be 1,000. We pay, how much we pay for 1,000? $25. So $25 per six. It's $150, right? $150. You pay it on your behalf, on his behalf. It's like a gift to your child. This is an example, يعني. Wallahu ta'ala alam. So you pay zakat, but exclude the money coming from the government.
There is a question from Mr. Asad, brother Asad. He's asking you about, can you explain zakat on corporations? So you have a corporation which either cash or invest inside of it. Say you have to pay 10K in zakat on this cash. When you withdraw from a company, there are taxes that needed to be paid. Is the zakat paid 10K or 10K minus taxes? I think you already explained this thing. We have to pay zakat or
yeah, you pay zakat on your money. Yes, you pay zakat on the money that is found in your corporation on the day of calculation. What you exclude the taxes if they are established and calculated. Let's say you're gonna pay zakat in Ramadan, and your accountant told you that after Ramadan, let's say Ramadan in April, at the end of May, your accountant has made the calculation, and he said you need to pay CRA around 5,000 at the end of May. It will be after Eid, right? Let's say you are someone who is paying his zakat in Ramadan. So it will be a short-term debt. It will be a short-term debt, and you are allowed to exclude it, these taxes. These taxes, you exclude them because they are debt owed to the government.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Can I ask that question one more time?
Yeah.
Say you have money inside the company, and let's just say you have to pay $10,000 zakat. That is the amount of zakat you have to pay after you've done your calculations.
Yeah, your zakatable assets, yani, is 10,000.
No. Your zakat payable is 10,000.
يعني the amount that you need to pay.
That's right. That's 10,000.
Yeah, okay.
So in order to pay this 10,000, you have to take money out of the corporation and distribute it to the people that the zakat needs to go to. When you
Yeah.
take money out of the corporation, you must pay taxes on this money because you can't take it out tax free.
On the
My
spot.
question, no, on the money outside. So when you take money out of the
Yeah, I know.
corporation,
You
right?
pay taxes as a person or as a corporation? As a person.
You pay again, depending how you take it out. You either pay some as a corporation or some as a personal, depending if you take out dividend or if
Yeah.
you take out salary.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay.
just
If you
speak.
take it as a salary,
Mhm.
you will be in charge of paying these taxes as a person, right?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So my question is, let's just say this tax was $1,000, just for simple math reason. Now I took out 10,000. That's the zakatable amount. I now must pay $1,000 in taxes. Do I give zakat of 9,000 or do I give zakat of 10,000?
No, you give zakat on 10,000, but as I said, if the taxes were calculated, already calculated in established debt, we need to distinguish between something that is established and it became a short-term debt and something that was not calculated, but you know what I mean, and it's not an established debt, because after the calculation, you never know. I cannot give you a formula here or an answer for everyone, while I know for a fact that every company is different and every person is different. You know, let's say I pay 10,000 now, believing that the government will charge me 1,000 for these taxes. But after 2 months, 3 months, let's say, every year is different. And people do their taxes. I mean, Ramadan, most of the people pay their zakat in Ramadan, but Ramadan is moving around the year. So the period between the time we pay zakat and the time we do our taxes is different from one person to another person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now, let's say after 3 months or 4 months, I go to my accountant and I take all my documents, and he does my calculation. But at the end, I was believing that I would be paying 1,000, but at the end, because of other donations, because of other expenses, actually I ended up paying zero taxes. You know
But
what I mean?
yeah. But what if you had to pay taxes? What if you knew that you have to pay 1,000, 1,500, 2,000,
If it is
whatever the number?
established, if it is an established
Yes, yes,
obligation, then yes, you
yes.
are allowed to deduct it.
From the zakat, from the 10,000.
You don't exclude it from the payment, the money that is supposed to be given out.
Okay.
You exclude this money from the total amount of your wealth.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah.
Jazakallah khair.
Why?
Atiksha, you can go ahead, ask the question.
Pardon?
No, I'd say ask Atiksha because he raised the hand to
Yeah,
ask the
Assalamu
question.
alaikum, Sheikh.
Salam.
I'm very thankful to ICSC and for your valuable and useful time that you spared for us. I have a couple of questions, and I'm pretty sure that these questions are related to the common. These are common questions. Number one question is this: that if I have plot, empty plot, okay, and definitely it is for business purpose. It's not for housing,
An
and
empty
it is
lot is a
fully.
piece of land. Do you mean piece of land,
Yeah,
right?
yes. It's empty, but I mean, it's a piece of land. Okay, it's a piece of land. It's fully paid, and now should we pay zakat on it?
But what do you mean by business? Are you planning to sell it again? يعني it's for sale, or you bought it because you want to use it in your business?
No, it is it is for to sell it.
To sell it.
Yes, to sell
Yeah,
it.
if you are a firm, you have a firm intention of selling it again. يعني you bought it with this purpose. Your purpose is very clear. Not to own it, not to give it as a gift to your child, or to use it as a parking beside your business, or to just to own it, just own it, and you don't know what to do with it in the future. You have a firm intention that you are waiting a little bit to see how, if the prices go up, you will sell it again. Then yes, you need to calculate the value of this land and you pay zakat on it.
Okay, the second question is related to the same thing. I have an empty piece of land. Again, it is for selling, but this is on installment. So what I have to do, I have to pay installment maybe say in 2 years' time. Okay,
Okay.
so So in that scenario, for example, I purchase a piece of land or suppose one bedroom flat somewhere, anywhere, I mean that, and this is on installment. So I
Okay,
have to pay a
I'll
quarterly
explain to you.
basis.
I'll explain to you. If you bought a piece of land with a credit sale, right, on installment, an installment sale. So there are two scenarios. Either you receive the land, you have access to the land, you receive the title, and you are able to sell it now if you want to sell it, even though you are still paying the installment, right? You are following with me. This is the first
Yes, yes.
scenario. You are now the owner of the land. You received the title. The ownership of the land was transferred to you. You can do whatever you want with it. If a customer comes to you today, wants to buy the land, you will be able to sell it to him with a profit. Then here you need to calculate the value of the land, and you pay zakat on it. You exclude the value of the payment that you're going to make for this land in the next 12 months. The installment, the value of the installment that you are paying in the next 12 months, you exclude them from the total value of your wealth. Let's say in the next 12 months, you'll be paying every month $500 for this land, right? That would be $6,000. You exclude this $6,000 from the total value of your wealth. But you include at the same time the value of this land in your calculation. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, it's true. It's very
This is
clear.
the first scenario. The second scenario, you bought the land and you are paying installment, but you don't have access to the land. They tell you, we don't give you the land until you pay all the installment after 2 years. After 2 years, you're going to receive the ownership of the land, and you are not able to, you don't have access to it, you cannot sell it to someone else. You're making the installment, hoping that within 2 years, inshallah, you finish, you complete the payment of this land, and then at the end of 2 years, you receive this land and you can do whatever you want with it. Now, this land, you have no access to it. Your ownership is not complete. You don't pay zakat on it.
Thank you very much. The next question is this, that if
But
I have
these two scenarios are clear, right?
understand, yes, it's
Okay.
very clear. Next question is this, that if we have some gold, and this gold is not for the jewelry purpose, it is again for investment, for the business purpose.
Yeah.
However, suppose that I have 20 gram of gold that I kept during 2020. Okay, the price of gold was fluctuating. Okay, for example, at the beginning of 2020, it was 1600. And if I recall correctly, in August 2020, I think it went up to 2100. And today, for example, it is 1733. So my question is this, that if I pay zakat, not according to the Islamic calendar, but according to solar, I mean that. So if, for example, on December 31st, 2020, if I want to calculate my zakat, which price, which rate of gold I will use?
You use the rate, the current rate, the rate, okay. the day you're paying zakat, you're calculating your zakat. You use the rate of that day. Okay. You go to the website goldprice.org, see how much is the price of gold, and then you calculate the amount or the value of this gold based on that current rate.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question is this: if we have some gold, and if we keep some gold separate, and the intention is this, that when our daughters, they will get married, so basically we want to give them as a gift, or we want to utilize it for the wedding purpose. Should we pay zakat for it?
Wallah, in this case, if it is still, you have to decide. Yani, when you keep it on the side, you have to decide. Is it now a gift to your daughter? The gift, when you give a gift to someone, his ownership is not established until he receives it. Yani, you call your daughter, you tell her, this is your gold, wear it. Do you like it? You're happy with it? Say, yeah, okay, thank you for the gift. And she gives you a hug and everything. And now she said, keep it for me. And you put it in the box back and you keep it at home for her. But now she saw the gold, she's happy with it, and she knows that this is her gold. Now, if it is less than 85 grams of gold, 85 grams, 20 or 40 grams of gold, 60 grams of gold, and she doesn't have another money, she doesn't have to pay zakat on it, right? And if it is for personal use, for her to use it, and she is sometimes missing, let's say sometimes using it, then she doesn't have to pay zakat on it. But if it is the ownership of the mother, as I said, or it is your ownership as a father, let's say this is your gold as a father. You as a father, as a male member of the community, you are not going to use gold, but you are saving it, but you didn't give it to your daughter. You didn't tell her about it. It's still in your ownership. You decided that I'm not going to give this gold to my daughter until she becomes 20, for example. I'm not going to tell her, but I'll keep it. And you are a man, you are not using it, then you pay zakat on it.
So thank you. The last question is this: that if we have a scholarship plan for our kids, for example, it is CSSP or some other plan, and we pay $100 or $200 every month, and the objective is this: that when the kids will start education, education,
RESP. I just talked about it.
No. Sorry, it's a different. I mean, I think there's a different. It's kind of the same thing. So if we pay every month some amount, and for example, and the kids, it is for them. So, and we are paying this on the monthly basis for
what is the name? Okay, I need to see the name. What is the name of the plan? Because I'm not aware of these other plans.
Yeah, for example, it is.
I need to write it down.
Its name is Canadian Scholarship Plan.
Okay, Canadian Scholarship Plan.
Yes.
Okay, I need to look at it, but you can give me an explanation now, and then we give a chance to other people to ask. Canadian Scholarship
Plan, yes.
Scholarship Plan. Okay, plan.
Yeah,
okay, what is your? Could you explain it quickly?
Yes, so it means that for every month we are depositing $100 or $200 for next couple of years. So by the time that the kids they start the university, then they will take it. Of course, it's not our right; they will take it. So in these couple of years, should we pay zakat or not? Thank you very much.
Okay, but there is no other contribution coming from the government.
There is contribution, yes, from the government, yes.
So it's the same concept. If you are giving this money to your children and it is in their account and they know that this is their money, then the same concept. If it reaches the nisab 6,000 from your money, not the money from the government, then they should give zakat. Unless the money coming from the government is their ownership is established on it. The government, even if you take money, withdraw money from it, the government will not take money, will not take their money back, then that's a different story. You need to pay zakat on everything. But I need to look at it.
Thank you.
Sheikh, if you like, I can give you a quick explanation. It's basically what they call a group RESP. Instead of individual plans, what happens is that a bunch of people get together, they create a pool of money. Everybody contributes to this pool, so everybody puts in $100 into it. In each child is assigned amount of money plus the grants that they receive from the government. So it's very, very, very similar to the RESP plan. There's really no difference.
And you mean a group of families?
A group of individual investors. So you have thousands of different people that get together and invest into these vehicles, into this group plan. And basically just say the group has I'm going to pick a number, $100,000. There's 10,000 children in it, or 10,000 different children in it. Each one kind of takes money from this $100,000. And some people end up using all of it. Some people do not use some of it. Some money is left behind in the pool as well. And the way it goes. So it's no different than any RESP you would have differently. The exception is that you do not own it. You're just part of this group. And in the group, your portion is established.
But if you wanna take back your contribution, what will happen?
If you decide to collapse it, let's just say you have $1,000 in there, $200 is going to go to the government of Canada, which is their grant, 20%. Out of the $800, the company is probably going to keep about $200 or maybe $300.
As a penalty. As a
penalty, yes.
That's an extra penalty. Information. That's another information that we need.
Yeah. Massive penalties if you exit before the time is up. It's a contract you sign at 12.
Yeah. So if you collapse it, the government will take their money, and they will charge you penalty.
On top of that, yes,
So
the
you don't
company
pay
will charge a
zakat.
penalty.
You don't pay zakat on the government, the money government coming from the government, and you don't pay zakat on the value of the penalty. And you only pay zakat on the rest. If of course, if the money is a good money, and is more than 6,000 to. Yeah. So
Just
this
a,
is
just a yeah, just
yeah.
a last remark on this RESP plans. Majority investments inside of these are 100% interest based, very, very safe investments. Just a
Bonds.
heads up.
They are safe.
They're bonds. They're
They're
bonds. Yeah,
bonds,
mostly all bonds.
which
Yeah.
is haram. I mean, that's another problem.
Yeah,
That's another
that's another
problem.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's another
that's
problem.
another
Give
problem.
chance to other people
Share,
to ask
Sheikh,
questions.
can I share your email address so they can send the questions to you, because we have to go for the recipient session also.
Okay. Yeah. It's 4:30. Do you want me to continue?
Yeah, just go ahead for the recipient. I
Yeah,
send
you
you.
can share my email. Yeah, or my email is available on the website, ISC website.
Yeah, I sent it already.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So the recipients of zakat are 8 categories. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it easy for us. He mentioned them in Surah At-Tawbah. Ayah 60, he started with the fuqara and the masakin. I would start with them, fuqara and masakin. Who are fuqara? They are, we call them, when we translate the terms, we say the poor and the needy. So the poor and the needy, there is obviously a difference between them when it comes to zakat. When we talk about zakat, see, go back. The reference is ayah 60 in Surah At-Tawbah. So fuqara, what is the difference between the two groups? The fuqara, they either have zero income, or their income covers only less than 50% of their needs for the whole year. Let's say they are a family, they need 40,000. They need 40,000 to cover their basic needs. And we're talking about basic needs: food, shelter, medication, transportation, clothing. These are the basic needs. Sometimes, in this land, sending your children to an Islamic school or having Islamic education is a basic need too, is included, because people need to protect the identity of their children. But basically, these are the basic needs. Let's say they need 40,000. Their income is less than 50% of what they need for the whole year. So their income, the income that is coming to the family, is 15,000. 15,000 is less than 50%. 50% is 20,000. So their income is only 15,000. These are fuqara, and they definitely deserve our zakat. They deserve our zakat because they need to cover the basic needs for the whole year. The masakin, they are better than the fuqara, but they still deserve our zakat. Masakin, they might have some sort of an income, but their income is more than 50% of what they need, but it is less than 100%. Let's say these masakin also need 40,000, the same number, 40,000, to cover the basic needs, their basic needs for the whole year. Their income is only 30,000. The income that is coming to the family for the whole year is only 30,000. But they're still short of 10,000. So their life is tight. They are not able to cover the cost of all basic needs. So these people also deserve our zakat. Now, العاملون عليها, the third category, العاملون عليها, those who are employed by the Muslim government to collect and distribute the zakat. We are not concerned with them because most of the people are paying zakat now on an individual basis. They are not giving their zakat to the government, and the government is taking care of it. That was in the past. Maybe in some Muslim countries they have the zakat department, Allahu Ta'ala A'lam. But anyway, we are not concerned with this third category. The fourth category, al-mu'allafati qulubuhum, those who recently accepted Islam, or they are inclined towards accepting Islam. A friend of mine or a colleague who is studying about Islam and talking about Islam, and I feel like this man, well, he's interested, and you want to give him a gift from your zakat. Let's say I want to give this 1,000 as a gift to my colleague or my friend. He is mu'allafati, among the mu'allafati qulubuhum, one of those who are inclined towards accepting Islam, so you can give them from your zakat. في الرقاب, they are the captives, someone in jail. If he committed a crime and you know that he made tawbah, And if his family pays an amount of money to the government, then the government will allow him to leave early, then it's okay to give them zakat for this purpose. He made a crime, committed a crime, but he made tawbah, and he's a better person, and you are sure about it. You know about his situation, or you know that he's innocent. You are confident about it that he's innocent. He's in jail here, and his family needs some money to pay the government. They release him. If they pay them a good amount of money, they will release him. This is very common in many countries. Then you can do that. You can pay zakat for this purpose, to release a person, to help person leave captivity. Wallahu ta'ala. Slaves, we don't have slaves these days. We don't talk about slaves these days. Number 6, those who are in debt. Now, those who are in debt, there is something important that many Muslims are not aware of it. First of all, it should be a halal debt. If it is a haram debt, there is one requirement. He should be someone who made tawbah about his haram debt. He made tawbah, and he's trying to pay his debt. And you are sure that he made tawbah. He's trying to correct the situation. You are allowed to give him zakat to pay his debt. Now, there is something, as I said, that many people are not aware of. We are not allowed to give zakat to our parents. We're not allowed to give zakat to our wives and our children, because we have to spend on them, right? We have to spend on our children. We have to spend on our parents if they are in need of help. It's an obligation. It's not a favor. It's an obligation. So we are not allowed to give zakat, because we will be actually, why? Protecting our zakat, our wealth, if we give them our zakat. This is the hikmah behind this prohibition. Now, there is one exception that people need to be aware of it. If your child has a loan, let's say a student loan, and he's not able to pay his loan, then you are allowed to give him zakat. Give your zakat to your child. For the purpose of what? Paying his loan. He's not allowed. You are not allowed to give him zakat to fulfill the other needs. No, you can't give him zakat for food or for shelter or clothes or transportation. You know, you can't give him zakat for these things. But the only exception, if he has a loan and he's not able to pay his loan back, and student loan is okay, is included. Even though it has interest, but it is included. We need to pay our children, because we don't have another choice in this country. So, or a father or a mother who has a loan and they are not able to pay back this debt, yes, you help them with your zakat. That's the only time when you give your parents zakat, when they have a loan and they are not able to pay it back. And I hope this is clear. Fi sabilillah, it's important too. Number 7, fi sabilillah. In the old times, the ulama used to say, fi sabilillah, it's only for those, the volunteers, the people who are volunteers in a Muslim army, protecting the lands of Muslims or fighting against their enemy. Volunteers, yani they don't have a salary. So you used to give them fi sabilillah. This is category number 7. But there are other scholars who studied this category fi sabilillah, and they did some research about it, and their conclusion that, for example, in the West, where Muslims are living in a non-Muslim land, and they need to build their masajid, build their Islamic centers to protect the identity of their communities, then this should be included fi sabilillah. This is the fatwa of some scholars, and I feel comfortable with it, because yes, it is our duty as Muslims to protect the identity of our children in this land. It is like jihad fi sabilillah, protect the identity of our children, our families, and it should be, we are allowed to give our zakat based on this opinion to Islamic centers for the operation, or to the masajid. When it comes to Islamic schools, you have to be careful. If the Islamic school was established by an Islamic and non-profit organization, and it is meant to protect the identity of Muslim children, provide for them Islamic education, that's okay. You can give them zakat if they are struggling, Islamic school. But if the Islamic school is privately owned by investors, individuals, and it is a business for them, so you don't give zakat to a business, even though it is an Islamic school. There are many wealthy people who come together and establish private Islamic schools in many Muslim countries. These people, if they are struggling, they deal with it. They deal with it because it's their business. It's not a non-profit organization. It's not an Islamic organization which is trying to do, to help the community, to protect their identity, provide Islamic education fi sabilillah. No, it's a different story. So when it comes to Islamic schools, you have to be careful. Ibn Sabil, the last one, Ibn Sabil, a stranded traveler, someone who is traveling in a land and he doesn't have access to his wealth. He could be wealthy, but nowadays it's difficult to imagine someone who is wealthy back home and he went, for example, to Europe, to another country, and he couldn't get access to his wealth. It's very difficult to imagine this situation nowadays. Why? Because if you go to another country, most likely you will have access to your bank accounts, you have credit cards, your family back home. It's easy for them to send you money through Western Union or any means of communication. Ah, man, mashallah, we don't have lack of, we have enough, as I said, we have enough ways of sending money and receiving money these days. So this Ibn Sabil is very difficult to imagine these days. In the old days, yes, in the old days, a wealthy person could travel to another land and he lost, for example, he lost his properties in that land and he's wealthy back home, but he doesn't have access to his wealth. He doesn't have access. There's no planes, no trains. He has to take ride his camel or his horse for 1 month or 2 months to reach his house, his family. Then this man is deserving of our zakat in that situation, not these days. Wallahu ta'ala alam. So this is the end of it. If you have a question, you can send me an email. Inshallah, I'll try my best to answer your emails.
Sheikh, I have one question. It's basically according to the ISC and a lot of people in the Southeast community, they're asking about this question. So they're asking about, we live in North America and our masajid operations and building masjid run on donations. And
yes, our masajid, they are built with donations, yes.
Yes, we can give the zakat for the masajid and the project which is going on.
This is what I was trying to say, that fi sabilillah, which is number 7, category number 7, fi sabilillah, for the sake of Allah, based on one of the two opinions, we can give zakat to masajid and Islamic centers for the sake of protecting the identity of our children, our communities. Yes. Okay. The answer is yes.
Okay. Jazakallah. Do you go ahead to take the questions, or maybe it's already about 4:30 now?
Yeah, it's 4:45. We have to prepare ourselves for Asr prayer. You can send me your questions by email, and inshallah, I will try my best. I take some time because I have a long list. I always have a long list of emails.
Mm-hmm.
So I take my time to answer my emails. But when it comes to zakat questions and fasting questions, in Ramadan, I give them priority. Okay. During Ramadan or before Ramadan, I give priority to fasting and zakat questions.
Okay. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh, on behalf of ICSC and all the attendees which attend the session, I'm really thankful for your time, and Jazakallah for that. And especially thank for our presidents, Farhan Khan, Mustafizur Rahman, Khurram Abbasi, for arranging this session. Thanks, everybody. You can send a question which I shared the email to you. Please send the question to him so he can reply it. Jazakallah khair.
Barakallahu feekum. May Allah bless you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.